All right. Let's jump into another deep dive today.
Yeah.
Today we are looking at something called the IsoTone High Press.
Cool.
And we've got a section of the IsoTone user manual here to kind of guide us through this.
Sounds good.
And I'm really interested in this whole whole body approach that they seem to be taking.
Right.
So
Yeah.
let's see if we can break this down.
Yeah, for sure.
And figure out what's going on here.
Absolutely.
So the manual starts us off with a high press starting position.
Okay.
And it says stand tall,
Okay.
arms overhead, holding the isotone,
Gotcha.
chest lifted, core engaged,
Mm-hmm.
and hands shoulder width apart.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
pretty straightforward starting position.
Yeah, you would think that it's super simple and basic, but
Yeah.
what's fascinating about IsoTone is that they really want you to engage every single part of your body.
Uh-huh.
So even from this very first starting position,
Yeah.
you're activating muscles that you might not even realize.
Okay.
Shoulders, back, core.
It's interesting.
Everything's working.
Yeah.
It's setting you up for a really solid, a holistic experience
Gotcha.
with the device.
Okay, so then we get into the actual movement of the exercise, right?
Right.
So there's a squeeze and an expand phase.
Yes.
So you're pushing the handles together and then pulling them apart
Exactly.
using the isotone device.
And it's not just about pushing and pulling.
Okay.
There's a lot of control involved, right?
Right.
So the squeeze, you're using controlled force.
Yeah.
Bringing the handles together, working those pecs.
Yeah.
Working those shoulders.
Right.
And then the expand is you're explosively pulling them apart.
Uh-huh.
So you're getting those back muscles.
Okay.
Your triceps.
Yeah, so it's kind of working those opposite
Yes.
or opposing muscle groups
Totally.
in that way.
Yeah. That's a huge part of their philosophy is
Right.
making sure that everything's working together.
Yeah, it seems very balanced in that.
Exactly. It's all about balance.
Yeah.
And that's how you maximize muscle engagement,
Yeah.
but also minimize risk of injury.
Right.
When you're working opposing muscle groups.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
You're not going to have imbalances that can cause problems down the road.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And speaking of balance,
Yeah.
the manual mentions that the duration of those two phases
Okay.
should be equal.
Yes.
So the amount of time you spend squeezing should be the same
Mm-hmm.
as the amount of time you spend expanding.
Yeah. You really got to practice that to get it down.
Yeah. I can
Yeah.
imagine that'd be pretty tricky.
Yeah. It's more important than you might think, though.
Okay.
Because, it's about making sure those muscles are working evenly.
Mm.
If you spend way longer squeezing than expanding,
Yeah.
you're going to create some uneven stress and strain.
Right.
And then that defeats the whole purpose of isotone.
Right. Right.
It's got to be harmonious,
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's not about brute strength. It's about having your body work in a balanced way.
Interesting. Okay, so now this is where things start to get
Okay.
really, really interesting to me.
Okay.
So, the manual instructs you to change your grip
Uh-huh.
between the squeeze and expand phases.
Interesting.
So it says to go from holding the handles with your palms
Okay.
to mainly using your fingers
Uh-huh.
with your fingertips facing each other
I see.
during the expand phase.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the things that makes isotone so unique.
Yeah.
That little subtle grip change
Yeah.
might seem insignificant,
Right.
but it actually brings in even more muscle groups. So your forearms, your hands,
Right.
everything's got to be working together.
Wow. So
Yeah.
it's not just about squeezing,
Right.
but it's also about how you're holding it as you're doing it.
Totally.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
It's those small changes
Yeah.
that make a big difference.
Yeah, I can see that.
Especially with maximizing muscle activation.
Totally. Okay, so now this is where things get really crazy.
Right.
So isotone actually has a specific massage technique for cramp prevention,
Oh, wow.
which I was like, what?
That's cool.
This is a fitness device.
Yeah.
How are they going to prevent cramps?
Right.
But they actually have 2 podcasts that they mentioned in the manual here
Okay.
dedicated to this on their YouTube channel.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about using resistance in clever ways,
Okay.
right? So instead of just passively stretching, which is what we typically think of
Yeah.
with cramp prevention,
Right.
Isotone's massage technique uses targeted resistance
Okay.
to help relax those muscles
Interesting.
that are cramping up.
So you're actually using the device to
Yeah.
massage those muscles. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've dealt with plenty of cramps before, so
Yeah.
definitely going to check out those podcasts.
I think you'll find it helpful.
Yeah.
It's a testament to their commitment to not just muscle building, but like overall well-being.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of well-being,
Yeah.
the manual, reminds us to warm up,
Of course.
especially before intense workouts.
Yeah.
And they recommend starting with some like low resistance isotone exercises just to get the blood flowing.
That's good advice for any workout.
Right.
Really.
Yeah.
And it actually highlights another key feature of isotone,
Okay.
which is the auto-adjusting resistance.
What is that?
So basically, imagine having a personal trainer built into the device.
Okay.
So isotone automatically adjusts the resistance
Wow.
based on your strength level.
That's awesome.
So whether you're a beginner or a seasoned athlete,
Yeah.
it can kind of meet you where you are.
Huh. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's a really neat feature.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, very cool. So it sounds like there's even more to discover on their website
For sure.
and their YouTube podcast series.
Definitely.
So I'll add all those to the list.
Sounds good.
But yeah, so after unpacking all of this stuff,
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, what do you think about this whole body balanced approach?
Yeah.
Like, how do you think that maybe changes your perspective on like traditional exercise?
I mean, I think it's a really great way to prevent injuries,
Yeah.
and it makes me think differently about how I've always worked out,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it also makes me realize how important it is to be mindful of how my body is moving,
Right.
And not just like trying to lift the heaviest weight possible.
Definitely. It's a good reminder to like
Yeah.
not push yourself too hard.
Totally.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to listen to your body.
Yeah. Well, awesome. This has been another really interesting deep dive.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
And, we'll catch you next time.
See ya.
Bye.